2025 was a year full of ups and downs for the gaming industry. Thousands laid off, corporate consolidation, and big games that we never thought we'd see fall finally fell. Amongst the dust and rubble of that mess, smaller and more artistically risky projects rose in a mighty burst of color. Look, 2026 is shaping up to be a great year and I'm excited for it. But naturally, before we go there, we've got to look back so I can tell you all about all the games that I loved. I'm ready to look back on my astonishing year of good games, and of course, we use the most complex scientific equations and deep research possible to determine what the best of the best is, so don't at me. I'm Andrew Hamilton, and this is the official Hardwired's Top 10 Games of 2025, including our Game of the Year. Let's start the year off with a game that finally realized my childhood dream of battling Pokémon like they do in the anime. Legends ZA is a wonderful continuation of the franchise transforming Legends offshoot for Pokémon, exploring the luminous city of Luminos, a town roughly half the size of the Mall of America, and taking on a ranked Pokémon League while defending the city's Pokémon and people from rogue Mega Evolutions was a stunning change of pace for the series. This entry takes the typically turn-based combat and expands it on the X, Y, and Z axis. You see what I did there? Anyway, it's now a free roam, open-ended brawl, which means that you can now actively dodge moves, recall your partners, and even swap out Pokemon mid-fight without having to wait for little Jimothy to make up his mind. Dude, there's only 4 moves, just pick one. Does this always work? No. But is it the most fun I've had playing Pokemon battles since 2012? Yeah, it is. On top of that, the return of Mega Evolutions meant a batch of new Mega Evolution Pokemon. Some better than others. Regardless, after all was said and done, I really enjoyed my time in Luminos, and I hope to see more of this style of Pokemon battles in the games going forward. Next up is the cross-section of Chill and Rad, a video game that takes the dialogue-free experience of Journey, full of wonderful art, flowing cinematic soundtracks, and meshes it with the sickness of doing a kickflip at the top of the ramp in Tony Hawk. Sword of the Sea is an elegant experience as you hover effortlessly across an arid landscape looking to bring back the spring of life. Watching the environments morph from shifting sands to effervescent waves of water as colorful fish fill the air is never boring. If you're looking for a game to shred and chill, Sword of the Sea is for you. Every once in a while, a game comes around that reignites a franchise with pure aura. When I was growing up, there were 2 games that were unbelievably difficult and featured ninjas. Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi. Both got new releases this year. When I was younger, Shinobi wasn't the one that I really fell into. But when they announced Art of Vengeance, whoo, boy, I was in immediately. I mean, look at the absolute drip of these painterly styled graphics. Every animation is oozing with flair, and when you combine that with some excellent feeling combat and snappy movement, you've got a platformer revival worth playing. 2025 was Nintendo's big year. With the Nintendo Switch 2 launching, they needed something that was going to be the killer app of this new system. So they looked at the one universal truth for the answer. It's on, like Donkey Kong. My ape boy is back and he's better than ever, rocking a new design, all new powers, and a brand new world to explore. Bonanza's devs, the team behind Mario Odyssey if you didn't know, understood the assignment and they knew what a Donkey Kong game needed was innovative platforming that didn't follow in Mario's footsteps. DK has always done stuff out of the box, so it makes sense that his solution to platforming is to just smash and destroy everything in his path. No need to platform if there are no platforms, you know what I mean? With unmatched creativity, DK Bonanza offers a punchy good time, a solid story, and some of the best Donkey Kong gameplay around. Anyway, Donkey Kong Bonanza is easily one of my favorite DK games now, and I highly recommend you do ape violence to the ground with your kids. As a noted Death Stranding hater, and also as someone who adores the risk-taking nonsense that its creator Hideo Kojima makes, I was skeptical of the obtuse game's sequel. On the surface of Death Stranding 2, it'd be pretty easy to point out all the strange things in the game's world and say this man has lost his marbles, but I think that would be dishonest to what Death Stranding 2 is all about. Instead, On the Beach is a triumphant and often unbelievable weaving of everything Kojima has made previously into an unexpectedly thrilling game that builds off the skeleton of its predecessor. We all know Kojima misses working on Metal Gear Solid, and it shows. His gameplay is like an itch that won't go away. This added layer of espionage and combat makes this game feel so much more well-rounded. It's a terrifying, horrific, beautiful, and nuanced story that ultimately addresses almost every issue I had with the original. It's also like one of the weirdest games I have ever had the pleasure of experiencing. In 2021, DICE and EA launched Battlefield 2042, a new era fired out of a cannon at Mach 5 that was then roundly rejected by the vast majority of the player base. And those who did grit their teeth and dive into this confusing era were met with one of the most disastrous launches in the franchise's history. That failure must have really hurt, because Battlefield 6 is so freaking good. It's the collaborative work of the newly formed Battlefield studio, a combined front focused on delivering a true to form Battlefield experience. What does that mean? That means classes are back. That means explosive combat, great team play, high octane destruction, and the way that this game turns every battle into a cinematic war zone, it is chef's kiss. Look, it's got problems. Every Battlefield game does. The maps are smaller than you'd probably like, there's a few weapons that are a little overpowered, and RPGs seem to only tickle people when fired at them. DICE has really pulled out all the stops here, not just to make a great Battlefield game, but to make the best feeling Battlefield since Battlefield 4. Hades, which first left early access back in the early 6th century, and then again in 2020, is one of those indie games we hear about all the time. You know, the ones that are so influential they redefine a genre. It's a roguelite so good that it makes every other roguelite feel like it was made with macaroni and string. So how do you follow up on a best of the best game like Hades? Well, you start with what works, you scale it up and polish it to a shine. Supergiant manages to do all this while executing an emotional story that delivers an addictive gameplay loop unlike any other roguelite. From the soundtrack to the boss fights, I found myself unable to put down Hades 2. From its characters to the absolute hit list that is the Hades 2 soundtrack, Supergiant just doesn't miss a single beat. If you're looking for a game that you'll play infinitely and forever, this is the one for you. I want to apologize to Dispatch, as I was literally not familiar with your game. Dispatch is a game I never expected to work. In fact, it's a game I initially dismissed. A return to the episodic structure of Telltale's past, developers at Ad Hoc found a way to simultaneously navigate a superhero story without running into 1,000 tropes, while also crafting a redemption story that works to really draw you in. Dispatch takes its variety pack of multi-dimensional heroes and villains on a journey that rides the line between premiere TV and addicting games. And amazingly, one side makes the other side better and vice versa. Its star-studded cast shines as you take on more and more intense deployments, and the writing is some truly top-tier stuff. I love directing my little team of bantering would-be heroes during the hands-on gameplay, except for the hacking minigame. Game developers, please stop trying to make hacking interesting. Ad Hoc has created something truly special here. A superpowered decision-making story that proves that real heroes don't wear capes. They drive mechs. Way back in 2020, I fell in love with Ghost of Tsushima, as it was extremely Andrew-coded. A samurai epic inspired by Kurosawa with impeccable art direction, intuitive design, and that used birds to weaponize my ADHD against me. Sucker Punch had made a game that felt like it was made explicitly for me. Fast forward to 2025, and they've done it again. Atsu's journey to avenge her family may seem like a run-of-the-mill samurai revenge tale, but its characters are much more complex than that. Chasing down the Yotey 6 felt like the stuff of samurai legend. The world of Ghost of Yotey is gorgeous, with the same impeccable art direction. The sound design captures the feeling of being in a samurai film all your own. Erika Ishii as Atsu is maybe one of my favorite new characters of the year, a bold, outspoken warrior who knows exactly what she wants and is willing to fight for that goal. Sucker Punch improves on already excellent combat while delivering a nuanced, explosive, emotional story and game design that just works. Unfortunately, I have to do to Ghost of Yotey exactly what I did to Ghost of Tsushima, and make it our runner-up for Game of the Year. If you've seen the Game Awards or perused our recent Viewer's Choice Award, you're probably aware or guessing at what my top Game of the Year is. You're right, it's the French game Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It's exceedingly French and I love it so much. But what makes Clair Obscur Expedition 33 such a good game is a phenomenal commitment to making something new from the influences of the past. It scoops up tropes and traditions of RPG's past and builds off of it with its own original beats. While the monsters that lurk in the shadows are the deadly forces you have to physically overcome in the game, Expedition 33 is about fighting your inner demons. Demons of fear, loss, loss, pain, and existential dread around your own mortality. Its haunting soundtrack echoes that sense of emotional overwhelming that every character goes through throughout the game. Sandfall has made a game that effortlessly shines with new artistic expression and yet feels like I'm coming home for the first time. Much like its haunting soundtrack, the poignant story of Claire Expedition 33 will stick with me long after I have planted my expedition flag. Claire Expedition 33 is easily one of the best RPGs I have ever played, and more than earns its spot as this year's Game of the Year winner. Well, that's my list and I'm sticking to it. What an incredible year of games that spoke directly to me as a person. I can't wait to see what 2026 brings with it, and I hope this list helps you discover a new game for you to go out and try. Congrats again to Claire Obscure Expedition 33 on becoming this year's Game of the Year. For Hardwired, I'm Andrew Hamilton.